Hi everybody, it's the multifaceted mom, aka Lataya, and I am back with another video. So this video or this topic has been requested a few times under a couple other videos that I have pretty much mentioned that I am in graduate school to become a therapist, and I've received a lot of questions or a few questions about just the process of becoming a therapist, the process of choosing a school, and just the process that I just went through because I am officially done with my master's program. So in this video, I have my notes written down so I do not get off track. I'll be pretty much talking about what my degree is in, the requirements for my degree, what I want to do with it, how I chose my school and how you can choose your school, and the process in which my graduate program required. And I think I should add just a little tidbit of how I manage my internships with trying to get income, basically as a single mom, and also next steps for after I graduate, or now that I graduate, what's my next steps, right? So the degree is called clinical mental health counseling. Now, just to let you guys know, I'm not sure if you do know, but you could become a therapist with a master's in psychology, I believe, a master's in social work, and a master's in clinical mental health counseling and school counseling as well, because you could do a dual degree in school counseling and clinical mental health counseling, go into school counseling. So that was an option for Walden University, a university pretty much that I chose to go to because I did a lot of research with what schools people were going to get their master's in clinical mental health. There were a lot of programs, both in person and online. For me as a mom, I needed online all the way for sure, and luckily because of COVID, a lot of the things that would have been in person were actually okay to do online. So like the practicums that you would typically have to fly in for were online for 3 days. So very simple. It wasn't necessarily easy because it was time off of work that I had to take. And to give you a little bit of my backstory, I am coming from a career field in marketing, so I did not really want to be very public with the information that I was switching careers or I was going into therapy, because I'm not sure if I'm going to leave marketing behind all the way just yet, because it has been a foundation of my income. It's very easy to get a flexible job in marketing. So yeah, I'm pretty much gonna be a dual career girly for a hot minute while I finish my next steps. So my degree was in clinical mental health counseling. I decided to go that route because from the research, I've heard that with social work, you have to constantly go back and get recertified for certain things. I do think that getting a degree in social work has more benefits as it pertains to like different jobs you could do in different sectors, government, nonprofit. I think it has a lot more flexibility than mental health counseling, I would definitely say. But for me, my goal was not to do any of that. My goal was to go straight into private practice. And I already knew I wanted to go into private practice from the very beginning because I wanted to be a perinatal therapist. So if you are deciding to go into the program not knowing what type of therapist you want to be, I would definitely suggest doing your research, because that definitely helped me. I talked to my therapists from the past, asking what degrees they got, what would they suggest. I talked to people on LinkedIn about what degrees they got and just why did they choose a certain route. I actually ended up getting into a field or a Facebook group called Michigan Southeastern Perinatal therapist. So I asked a few other people as well, like which degree route they took, if they decided to go the clinical mental health counseling way or the social work way. So that is something that you would want to know before deciding on your program, because they both can do therapy, but it just takes two different approaches for how you tackle a client and how you approach a client. So with I wanted to add one more thing. Oh, make sure that the program that you do is accredited, because I tried to go the way of not accredited because it was just a program that kept being advertised. I believe that it was like Grand, it was in a school in Arizona, like Grand Arizona University or something like that. But I ended up enrolling in that program for like a week, I kid you not, and changing my mind because I had got so much advice about not going to a school that is not accredited, because you will have problems. You can go through a whole program that's not accredited, and that's not CACREP accredited. That's CACREP, that's not accredited, and has to have a very difficult time getting your pre-license and getting licensed in the state that you're at. So definitely pay attention to the state requirements of becoming a licensed therapist, because that is also something you want to do aside from, honestly, before looking at the school. You need to figure out how to get the license in the state that you want to be licensed in. For me personally, I want to be licensed in multiple states because I plan to have a group practice across the country. Those are big dreams, but I know it's going to happen, so I have to really think forward thinking. So yeah, let me get a sip of water. And the next thing is the requirements to get in. So the requirements to get in, and also the requirements for the entire program. So my school, I pretty much needed a great resume, pretty much needed a great resume, transcripts, of course you got finished school, and a letter of intent. So pretty much wrote down what I plan to do with my degree, why I plan to go into this career field. I was very specific on the fact that I wanted to do perinatal therapy. I do find that when you join this program, people have a hard time, like the older people in a program and faculty have a hard time accepting the fact that you are going in with a niche already, because some people do not, and they always encourage you to be more open-minded. But I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do even before applying for this program. So if you don't, that is completely okay. They actually encourage you to not and to try different things. The requirements to actually go through, and also just to be clear, I chose a university that did not require the GRE. Some universities require the GRE, some universities do not. Some have it waived, some require letters of recommendation. I don't remember Walden University requiring that. Like, I am grown, I don't have time to be chasing people for letters of recommendation. I have done that though to get scholarships for my program, but no, I'm not going that route. A degree is a degree. You feel me? So, requirements for the actual program. You have to finish your coursework, of course, and it is, I want to say it is 2 practicums that you do. And with a practicum, my program was about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, really, 2 years and 9 months to be exact. So you have to do 2 practicums. Your entire first year is pretty much going to be all classes. And the way Walden University was set up, you did 2 classes every 10 weeks with a 3-week break in between, and it just constantly went all year. And I actually really liked that because the time went by pretty fast. The classes were really quick. Coursework was not too hard. I think that because this is something I'm very passionate about, a lot of stuff came very easy to me. However, there are some classes, and it's a lot of information that's coming at you. And when you are in grad school, I would say that I don't think it's really meant for you to remember every single thing. Okay, I just don't, because it's impossible to ingest so much information unless grad school is the only thing that you're doing in life. So I constantly had a lot of insecurity about that during my program, because I felt like I wasn't grasping everything and things were moving so fast, but I was still understanding it, but it was just moving so fast that I couldn't like really hold on to it. And I had a lot of encouragement from other therapists saying, like, you know, when you become a therapist, you really go learn stuff you go forget everything you learned in school. That's just the foundation. So that really made me feel better and more comfortable. So anyway, after your coursework, you'll do 2 practicums that is kind of like halfway through and like close to your internship portion of your program. Which your practicum is literally just online. You are just pretty much with a group of students and a professor, and you're pretending to be a therapist and just practicing different skills that you learn throughout your coursework. Is not as intimidating as you think. You're most likely everybody is going to pass unless you do not show up. It is very strict in which you have to show up and have to be on camera the entire time, which was my challenge because I had children, one of them in which was home with me while I was working from home. I had to take off of work. And again, I'm not telling my job that I'm doing this. So I'm taking off of work and they don't even know like what for. And at the time I didn't have really a good flexible job that really did not care about what I was doing on my off days. So that was very frustrating and kind of difficult to navigate. Now for my internship portion, it's so funny. I actually was laid off of my job just in time for my internship. And while this was actually very stressful, I had to do 9 months of internship. Now the internship is broken up into practicum. So I'm sorry, it's 2 practicums, but those were called pre-practicum. Your practicum, however, is only 10 weeks long. And you only have to do 100 hours of internship hours, and you get those hours very quickly because a lot of them are non-direct and some of them are direct, and you can get the direct hours by co-counseling with a counselor, by shadowing and throwing in, you know, your perspective or throwing in your techniques. So it's very easy to get those hours. And at first I was very intimidated before going into the program about that because I'm like, how am I going to manage a full-time job with an internship? But I did not let that stop me, and I don't suggest you do either, because there are people who put internship off for a semester or maybe a certain time period that is more convenient for them depending on your timeline. So it's pre-practicum, and then practicum, in which you're actually at an internship site, and then it's a internship 1 and then internship 2. And you could stay at one site the entire time. You could do all 3 different sites the entire time. Personally, I did one site the first time, my practicum, and then I did 2 different sites for both my one site for my internship 1 and 2 different sites for my internship 1 and 2. My second internship site that I did for my internship 2 was in a perinatal industry, which I'm very happy I did that because it gave me the ability to really focus on moms, focus on what I wanted to do. And it came so natural that I knew that's exactly what I had set out for. And I knew that's where I belong. So I'm very thankful that I did that that way. Getting the hours, my circumstance was different because I was laid off. So because I was laid off, I had the time to do it. So I was getting unemployment money, I was getting refund checks, I was balancing taxes. I made it work. And honestly, I'm gonna just thank God because I also got scholarship money that was unexpected. Yeah, I was honestly in the trenches, which is why I had to stop doing YouTube. I had to stop doing really a lot of entrepreneurship stuff because I had to really focus in on getting my hours, focus in on my business, because I had to bring in some other money also as well. So I was pretty much managing 2 jobs, which are 2 of my internships, as well as my full-time virtual assistant business. So I had like multiple clients with that. So it was very much in the trenches this last year, and I am done. I am happy to say. I had great internship advisors, so I would definitely suggest. Oh, and the way I found my internship, honestly, first internship was okay. But I found her through TikTok and had a conversation with her before I even moved to Texas and end up getting an internship. So it just really fell in place. And then she actually ended up quitting. We did not match whatsoever, but she matched me with somebody who told me she couldn't give me the hours, but she matched me with somebody else who was extremely cool, extremely down to earth. She looked out completely for me. She was very flexible. I can't speak enough about her. I'm always going to stay connected with my internship supervisor. And then I also got connected with my perinatal internship and was bugging that supervisor and emailing her. And that's pretty much how you get internships. You're not really applying through LinkedIn, and you could apply for Indeed, but a lot of that is networking. So that is a lot of how you get your internship during a program. And you can also look at your school. They have certain sites, but for me personally, I needed virtual all the way. I needed a virtual internship. I could not do anywhere that I was going in person, because if I found a job, I needed to prioritize putting food on my baby's table, and not an unpaid internship. So yeah, that was main priority for me. So my next steps, the last thing I'll talk about. So in Texas, you have to do the national counseling exam, and that's to become an associate. Now, some states, you don't even have to take this test until you get all 3,000 or 2,500 of your hours. Some states is 4,000. For Texas, you have to take that test before you even start accruing those 3,000 hours. So honestly, right now it's November. I said in November, I'm not touching a book. I'm not touching a notebook. I don't want to see a notebook. Okay, I'm not looking at any computer regarding counseling. I'm going to start studying November 1st through the end of January, which will give me 2 months of studying. Some people suggest studying 6 months in advance. I know myself, I can't even retain a habit of studying something for 6 months. I'm a person that has to crash course it, and just put all my effort in. And that's how I'll be taking the test. Hopefully I pass the first time. Some people don't. I'm not going to deem it too big of a deal, because it is what it is. So that will be my next step, and then I'll probably be an associate. Now in Texas, which I think is just so amazing. Sorry, my dog is pulling on my hair. In Texas, you can start a private practice as an associate. That's what I will be doing. Some people suggest not to, but I think it's more so because they didn't get the opportunity to start a private practice as an associate. A lot of people took the community health route, in which back in the day, that was the main type of first job you got as a counselor. For me, I'm not doing a community health route because, for one, I don't want to be burnt out over something that is a passion for me. I know who I want to serve. I'm not trying to figure out who I want to serve. And I also have the privilege of having to do a career where I do have a virtual job or a remote job as a marketing manager. So my bread and butter is pretty much taken care of, and I'm not depending on mental health counseling to be my bread and butter at this time. So I can gradually build my private practice with private pay, as I see fit and as I get those hours. So that's pretty much my plan. I do plan on doing a lot of things in like the nonprofit area, my own nonprofit. I have really big plans for my degree. And lastly, more good news, I was accepted in my PhD program for developmental psychology, a program in which I'll be starting at the end of February. So that is why I need to finish and complete my test by mid-February, because I do not want to overlap. I kind of want to be done with that portion so then I could go into my doctorate program, in which is like a 2.5 to 3 year program. I want to complete that on time. At first I was going to extend it, but I have a pretty solid 3-year plan for what I want to do. And if you guys want to know how to become a perinatal therapist, all it takes is getting a certificate from PSI, Postpartum International. It's about $350, and that is also my next step as well. And I don't mind doing that while I'm in school because, again, I work from home, very flexible job now. I'm very thankful. And if I have not already released a video about getting a job and in this economy and how God got me this job, I will be doing that next. But if you have any questions about the program, any questions that I did not answer, definitely let me know. Leave it in the comments and I'll answer it there. See you.